This time, baby, I'll be bulletproof. I'm just reading and journaling. I decided to start journaling because it helps my memory. I'm almost done, guys. I'm sorry. How are you guys? Still gotta cook something to eat. My night is great. How was yours? Sorry. Mm, I might I might start reading right now. Ready? I low-key miss my hair color, yo. Not gonna lie. Anyways, body language provides an amazing. Hold on. If you guys gonna be bored, y'all can just leave. Okay, I'm about to read. Body language provides an amazing amount of information for you on what other people are thinking and feeling if you know what to look for. People who are socially aware spend a great deal of time studying body language because they know the power that unspoken signals have in communication. People are not always going to tell you what's on their mind, and you rarely get the full story. When you learn to read body language, it's easy to connect the dots to find out who's lying. You already pick up on more body language cues than you're consciously aware of. UCLA researchers have shown that only 7% of communication is based on the actual words we say. As for the rest, 38% comes from tone of voice and remaining 55% comes from body language. Learning how to become acutely aware of that 55% can give you a leg up with other people. Next time you're in a meeting, on a date, or even playing with your kids, watch the following body languages cues. Crossed arms and legs may signal resistance to your ideas. They're physical barriers that suggest the other person is not open to what you're saying. Even if they're smiling and engaged in a pleasant conversation, their body language tells the story. Jared One and Henry Calero videotaped more than 2,000 negotiations for a book they wrote on reading body language. Not one ended in an agreement when one of the parties had their legs crossed while negotiating. Psychologically, crossed legs or arms signal that a person is mentally, emotionally, and physically blocked off from what's in front of them. It's not intentional, which is why it's so revealing. Real smiles crinkle the eyes. When it comes to smiling, the mouth can lie, but the eyes can't. Genuine smiles reach the eyes, crinkling the skin to create crow's feet around them. People often smile to hide what they're really thinking and feeling. So the next time you want to know someone's smile is genuine, look for the crinkles at the corner of their eyes. If they aren't there, that smile may be hiding something. Copying your body language is a good thing. Have you ever been sitting with someone and noticed that every time you cross or uncross your legs, they do the same? Or perhaps they lean their head the same way as yours when you're talking. That's actually a good sign. Mirroring body language is something we do unconsciously when we feel a bond with another person. It's a sign that the conversation is going well and that the other party is receptive to your message. This knowledge can be especially useful when you're negotiating something because it shows you what the other person is really thinking. Posture tells the story. I'm like, have you ever seen a person walk into a room and known immediately that they were in charge? The effect is largely about body language, and it often includes an erect posture. gestures made with palms facing down and open, and expansive gestures in general. The brain is hardwired to equate power with the amount of space that people take up. Standing up straight with your shoulders back is a power position. It appears to maximize the amount of space you feel. Slouching, on the other hand, is the result of collapsing your form. You appear to take up less space and project less power. It can also be seen as a sign of disrespect. It communicates that you're bored and have no desire to be where you are. You would usually never tell someone, I don't understand why I have to listen to you. But if you slouch, you don't have to. Your body says it for you, loud and clear. Maintaining good posture commands respect and promotes engagement, whether you're in charge or not. Exaggerated nodding signals anxiety about approval, and clenched jaw signals stress. When you're telling someone something and they nod excessively, this may mean that they are worried about what you think of them, or that they think you doubt their ability to follow your instructions. A clenched jaw, a tightened neck, or a furrowed brow are all signs of stress. Regardless of what the person is saying, these are the signs of considerable discomfort. The conversation might be delving into something they're anxious about, or their mind might be elsewhere and they're focusing on the thing that's stressing them out. The key is to watch for that mismatch between what the person says and what their tense body language is telling you. Is anybody even? Nah, it's the new emotional intelligence book. Raised eyebrows signal discomfort. Three main emotions make your eyebrows go up: surprise, worry, and fear. Try raising your eyebrows when you're having a relaxed, casual conversation with a friend. It's hard to do, isn't it? If somebody talking to you raises their eyebrows, they aren't comfortable with something, and it's your job to find out what that is. The bottom line with this body language cues is that even if you cannot read a person's thoughts, you can learn a lot from their body language. That's especially true when their words and body language do not match. As is always the case with social awareness, just make certain you're focusing more on the other person than you are on yourself. The New Emotional Intelligence by Travis Bradbury. No, it's about like self-awareness, social awareness. It's about like the book teaching you how to understand your emotions and how to deal with them. Like if you're reactive or have anxiety. Talk so people will listen. We all want to feel heard. The thing we fail to realize is that when we aren't heard, it's mostly because we're not delivering a message that other people are ready and able to hear. We don't read the room. Whether you're pursued. By the way, English isn't my first language, so I'm trying my best. Okay, so if I pronounce a word in a wrong way, judge me. Whether you're pursuing your boss to fund your project or your preschooler to put their shoes on, persuasion is a skill that's instrumental to your success in life. Success. Persuasive people have an uncanny ability to get you leaning toward their way of thinking. Persuasion. 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 It's all in how they deliver their message. English isn't my damn. Being persuasive requires strong skills and social awareness. Great communicators know how to talk so people will listen. They forge this connection through an understanding of people and the ability to speak directly to those people's needs in a way that they're ready to hear. Thank you. Great communicators read their audience, groups, and individuals carefully to ensure they aren't wasting their breath on a message that people won't accept. Talking so people will listen means you adjust your message on the fly to stay with your audience, what they're ready to hear and how they're ready to hear it. Droning on to ensure you've said what you wanted to say does not have the same effect on people as engaging them in a meaningful dialogue in which there is an exchange of ideas. The behaviors that follow will help you to talk so people will listen. Just know that when your talking leads to people asking good questions, you're on the right track. Don't let your statements sound like questions. One of the most common things people do to undermine their credibility with other people is to end their sentences with higher inflection than where they started. It's called upspeak. And our brains are trained to interpret the pattern as a question. So instead of delivering information, you end up sounding like you're asking if your own input is correct. And people notice. In a survey of 700 managers conducted by Pearson, 85% considered upspeak a sign of insecurity and an emotional weakness, and 44% said they marked job candidates down by as much as a third for using upspeak. That's one habit you should break right now to give yourself an instant credibility boost with other people. Don't just share information, tell stories. The most successful TED talks follow a magical formula. They are 75% stories and 25% data backing up those stories. Stories provide an emotional hook that helps people remember what you said, and they give you a platform for connecting your knowledge to the real world. There's a huge difference between memorizing mathematical formulas, for example, and being able to use them to calculate whether a particularly dangerous asteroid will hit us in our lifetime, hopefully. Research has shown that people are far more likely to be persuaded by something that has visuals that bring it to life. These people capitalize on this by using powerful visual imagery. They tell vivid stories that breathe life into their ideas. Good stories create images in the minds of recipients that are easy to relate to and hard to forget. Encourage people to talk about themselves. When you first started dating, you were probably encouraged to get your date to talk about themselves. Sure, it's a good manners, and we all know that everybody likes to talk about themselves, but it turns here to here. By embracing another person's perspective, you not only enhance your understanding of them, but also build trust. People are more likely to engage and collaborate when they feel seen and heard. This is especially true where different backgrounds and experiences influence unique perceptions of events. Recognizing and understanding these differences allow us to communicate more effectively and reduce misunderstandings. In our increasingly digital world, the ability to empathize is more critical than ever. Social media creates echo chambers in which people are only exposed to viewpoints that mirror their own. This reinforces biases and diminishes our capacity to understand others. By actively seeking out other people's perspectives, we can break down these barriers. And embracing a mindset of curiosity allows us to enrich our understanding of other people. People who are good at this are good at letting go of their biases. They're comfortable with the fact that people see things differently and they seek this out. They want to learn what other people are seeing and thinking and why they think that way. Learn to spot true toxicity. Pick Latinas. Kidding, guys. Oh my god, not everybody is gonna fucking think that, guys. Intimidating and judgmental the attendees are. Their awareness of your emotions is off the charts, but they use it to manipulate you, not to make you feel better. Part of this approach leads to them always one-upping you. No matter what problems you may have, toxic people have it worse. They undermine the legitimacy of your complaints by reminding you that their problems are more serious. The message: you have no reason to complain, so shut up. Toxic people are often too much too soon. Whether it's personal relationship or a business relationship, toxic people always seem to skip a few steps. They share too much too soon and expect the same from you. They feel vulnerable and sensitive, but it's a ruse. The charade is intended to make you feel special for being let into their inner circle, but it's also intended to make you feel not just sorry for them, but also responsible for their feelings. This is crazy. Their attempts to get overly involved with you leads them to eagerly agree to help and maybe even volunteer and then act like martyrs. An initial eagerness to help swiftly morphs into sighs, groans, and suggestions that whatever they agreed to is a enthusiastic support and optimism without implied criticism. Good luck. This one is subtle. It certainly isn't the end of the world if you wish someone good luck, but you can do better because this phrase implies that they need to luck to succeed. Instead, say, "You got this. I know you have what it takes." This is better than wishing them luck because suggesting that they have the skills needed to succeed provides a huge boost of confidence. You'll stand out from everyone else who simply wishes them luck. Yeah, I gotta keep myself accountable. Some of these I'm doing, bro. The New Emotional Intelligence by Travis Bradbury. In everyday conversation, it's the little things that make all the difference. Try these new adjustments out, and you'll be amazed at the positive response you get. When it comes to succeeding with people, perception is half the battle. Socially aware people know this, and they do everything they can to understand how others see the world. Know when someone is lying. This one is another good one. Chapter. How many people have you spoken with today? Chances are that most of them lied to you, and that they did it more than once. It's hard to accept, but even your closest friends and co-workers lie to you regularly. University of Massachusetts psychologist Robert Feldman has studied lying for more than a decade, and he has reached some startling conclusions. Most shocking is that 60% of people lie during a typical 10-minute conversation, and that they average 2 to 3 lies during that short time frame. Most of the people in Feldman's studies didn't even realize how often they had lied until the conversation was played back to them on video. People lie in everyday conversation to appear more likable and competent. Although men and women lie equally as often, they tend to lie for different reasons. Women were more likely to lie to make the person they were talking to feel good, while men lied most often to make themselves look better, Feldman said. You fucking little rats. I love you guys. Research by Dr. Lean Ten Brink at the Haas School of Business suggested that although most of us have pretty good instincts when it comes to recognizing liars, we tend to talk ourselves out of believing or at least acting on what our instincts are telling us. We hesitate to call liars out because we feel guilty for being suspicious and we do not trust our own perception. Calling someone a liar for no good reason is a frightening proposition for most people. Thankfully, Dr. Brink's research points to objective, well-documented psychological and behavioral changes or tells that we can use to accurately assess other people's truthfulness. Keep an eye out for the following signs, and you can use your social awareness skills to ensure you will not be taken advantage of by a liar. Liars repeat themselves and provide too much detail. They hate silence, so they often try to fill it up by talking more than they need to. They provide far more information than is required or asked for. Sometimes the longer you stay quiet, the more details liars throw in to support their story as they try to convince you and themselves of their deception. Liars also repeat themselves as they struggle to buy time to gather their thoughts. People often cover their mouth when they're lying. A hand on the mouth or even a touch of the lips might be revealing because this unconscious conscious body language represents a close enough communication. They may also instinctively cover vulnerable body parts such as head, neck, or abdomen because lying makes them feel exposed, vulnerable, and open to attack. Liars prepare for an escape. For an escape. In an uncautious attempt to find an escape route, people who are lying often angle their bodies toward the door if they're sitting, and they may even more closer to the door if they're standing. They may also change their posture from relaxed to erect or guarded as their bodies perk up in uncautious preparation for an escape. Liars fidget. Fidgeting is a clear sign of nervous energy. Even practiced liars worry that you won't believe them, so they release that nervous energy by playing with their hair, tapping their feet or fingers, or pulling on their ears. Shuffling the feet is a common expression of nervous energy associated with lying. A liar's feet start moving because they feel vulnerable and their body wants to flee. Liars' words and body language do not match. It's easy to lie with words, but our bodies know and show the truth. My eye is like twitching all day long. I think lying causes changes in their heart rate and blood flow. Sometimes they even have trouble speaking as mucus. Mucus? Is that how it's called? Yeah, membrane, блядь, in their mouth dry out as part of their body's response to lying. Liars may get aggressive. Aggression is a sign of defensiveness. When you're asking reasonable questions and this makes someone snap, this is a huge red flag. If someone's aggression is making you uncomfortable and they seem to be lying, they probably are. Mark Twain was right when he said, "A man is never more truthful than when he acknowledges himself a liar." Research shows that lying is far more common than most people think. Most of the lies people tell are small and inconsequential, but others carry serious consequences. Before rushing to conclusions about someone you think might be lying, be certain to consider what constitutes normal behavior for them. The indicators I've mentioned have meaning only in the context of a person's typical behavior. If your friend has ADHD and the envious, to envious people, the grass is always greener somewhere else. Even when something great happens to envious people, they do not derive any satisfaction from it. That's because they measure their fortune against the world's when they should be deriving their satisfaction from within. And let's face it, there's always someone out there who's doing better if you look hard enough. Spending too much time around envious people is dangerous because they teach you to trivialize your own accomplishments. The twisted. There are certain toxic people who have bad intentions, deriving deep satisfaction from the pain and misery of others. They're out to hurt you, to make you feel bad, or to get something from you. Otherwise, they have no interest in you. The only good thing about this type is that you can spot their intentions quickly, which makes it that much faster to get them out of your life. Oh, these are terrible, bro. The judgmental. Not me. Not always, but no, I have that shit a little in me. The judgmental people are quick to tell you exactly what is and isn't cool. They have a way of taking the thing you're most passionate about and making you feel terrible about it. I mean, not like that. Instead of appreciating and learning from people who are different from them, judgmental people look down on others. Not me. Judgmental people stifle your desire to be passionate and expressive, so you're best off cutting them out and being yourself. Toxic people are inherently challenging, but socially aware people are quick to recognize and identify them. To deal with toxic people effectively, you need an approach that enables you across the board to control what you can and eliminate what you cannot. That starts with recognizing what's in front of you and not getting sucked into their mess. The relationship management strategies chapter will teach you how to set boundaries and neutralize toxic people once you spot them. Become a great communicator. When it comes to communication, we all tend to think we're pretty good at it. The truth is, even those of us who are, and I'm like, what the fuck is this lighting? Is so. So. The truth is, even those of us who are good communicators are nearly as good as we think we are. This overestimation of our ability to communicate is magnified when we interact with people we know well. Researchers at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business put this theory to the test, and what they discovered is startling. In the study, the researchers paired participants with people they knew well and then with people they'd never met. The researchers discovered that people who knew each other well understood each other no better than people who just met. Even worse, the participants frequently overestimated their ability to communicate, and this was more pronounced with people they knew well. Our problem is communicating with friends is that we have an illusion of insight, said study co-author Nicholas Epley. Getting close to someone appears to create the illusion of understanding more than actual understanding. When communicating with people we know well, we make presumptions about what they understand, presumptions that we don't dare make with strangers. This tendency to overestimate how well we communicate and how well we're understood is so prevalent that psychologists have a name for it: closeness communication bias. The understanding what I know is different from what you know is essential for effective communication, said study lead Kenneth Savitsky. But that insight can be elusive. Some people may indeed be on the same wavelength, but maybe not as much as they think. You get rushed and preoccupied, and you stop taking the perspective of the other person. My hair bothers me. You cannot reach your full potential until you're a great communicator. Great communicators inspire people. They create a connection that is real, emotional, and personal. The following behaviors will help you use your social awareness to overcome communication bias and connect with people in a real and meaningful way. Apply them and watch your communication skills reach new heights. You must connect emotionally. Maya Angelou said it best: people will forget what you said and did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Your communication is important if people don't connect with it on an emotional level. Is impotent, I'm sorry. This is a this is hard for many people to pull off because they feel they need to project a certain persona. Let that go. To connect with people emotionally, you should be transparent. Be human. Show them what drives you, what you care about, what gets you out of bed in the morning. Express these feelings openly and you'll forge an emotional connection with everyone you encounter. Be honest. For communication to be effective, it has to be real. You cannot have people parsing every word trying to separate fact from spin. When you cannot share certain information, come right out and say it because makeshift half-truth answers breed distrust and anxiety. In good times and bad, honesty and integrity build trust, which always work out for the best in the long run. So beautiful. Prepare your intent. A little preparation goes a long way towards saying what you wanted to say and ensuring a conversation achieves its intended impact. Do not prepare a speech. Develop an understanding of what the focus of a conversation needs to be in order for people to hear the message and how you'll accomplish this. Your communication will be more persuasive and on point when you prepare your intent ahead of time. Speak to each person in the room. In business, you often have to speak to groups of people. Whether it's a small team meeting or a company-wide gathering, you should develop a level of intimacy in your approach that makes each individual in the room feel as if you're speaking directly to them. The trick is to eliminate the distraction of the crowd so that you can deliver your message as if you were talking to one person. You want to be emotionally genuine and exude the same feelings, energy, and attention you would one-on-one, as opposed to the anxiety that comes with being in front of people. The ability to pull this off is the hallmark of great group communication. Know your audience. Great communicators do not worry about sounding important, showing off their expertise, or boosting their own egos. Instead, they think about what people need to hear and how they can deliver this message so that people can hear it. This doesn't mean you should tell people what they want to hear. Quite the opposite. Tell people what's important for them to know, even if it's a bad news. Read body language while you communicate. Many people are pleasers, which makes it hard for them to say what's really on their minds. This is magnified when dealing with authority figures. That's you if you're making a presentation, so you must become adept at understanding unspoken messages. The greatest wealth of information lies on people's body language, and once you tune into body language, the messages will become loud and clear. Pay as much attention to what isn't said as what is said. Underline. And you'll uncover facts and opinions that people are unwilling to express directly. Right. The strategy on body language will show you specifically what to look for. Skip the jargon, блять. Euphemisms first surfaced in the workplace to help people deal with touchy subjects that were difficult to talk about. Before long, they morphed into corporate buzzwords that expanded and took over our vocabulary until our everyday conversations started sounding like they were taking place in another planet. Listen, Ray, I don't have the bandwidth for it with everything that's on my plate. But ping me anyway, because at the end of the day, the day's gotta end. Hold on, because at the end of the day, it's on my radar. I don't want to be thrown under the bus because I didn't circle back around on this no-brainer. I didn't understand the sentence at all. I understand the temptation. These phrases are spicy and they make you feel clever. Low-hanging fruit is a particular crutch of mine. But they also annoy the heck out of people. If you think you can use these phrases without consequences, you're kidding yourself. Most people overuse jargon and alienate others with their business speak. Use it sparingly if you want to connect with people and not come across as insincere. Make your vision infectious. Great communicators know that having a clear vision isn't enough. You have to make that vision come alive so that everyone can see it as clearly as you do. You can do that by telling stories and painting verbal pictures so that everyone can understand not just where they're going, but what it will look and feel like when they get there. This inspires others to have opinions of you. It's not fair. Everyone knows that life isn't fair. Saying it's not fair suggests that you think life is supposed to be fair, which makes you look immature and naive. If you don't want to make yourself look bad, you should stick to the facts, stay constructive, and leave your interpretation out of it. For instance, instead of saying the phrase above, you could say, I noticed that you assigned Alberto that big project I was hoping for. Would you mind telling me what went into that decision? I'd like to know why you thought I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a good fit so that I can work on improving those skills. It's The New Emotional Intelligence by Travis Bradbury. No problem. When someone asks you to do something or thanks you for doing something and you tell them no problem, You're implying that their request should have been a problem. This makes people feel as though they're imposed on you. What you want to do instead is show people that you're happy to help. Say something like, "It was my pleasure," or "I'll be happy to take care of that." My guys, my underarm just farted. It's a subtle difference in language, but it has a huge impact on people. I think this may be a silly idea. I'm going to ask a stupid question. This overly passive phrases in, oh my God, instantly erode your credibility. Even if you follow these phrases with a great idea, they suggest that you lack confidence, which makes the people you're speaking to lose confidence in you. Don't be your own worst critic. If you're not confident in what you're saying, no one else will be either. And if you really don't know something, say, "I don't have the information right now, but I'll find out and get right back to you." Guys, what the fuck? It was my art. Come on, man. "I will try." Just like the word think, try sounds tentative and suggests that you lack confidence in your ability to execute the task. Take full ownership of your capabilities. If you're asked to do something, either commit to doing it or offer an alternative, but do not say that you'll try, because it sounds like you won't try all that hard. That's not in my job description. This often sarcastic phrase makes you sound as though you're only willing to do the bare minimum required to keep getting a paycheck, which is a bad thing if you like job security. If your boss asks you to do something that you feel is inappropriate for your position, as opposed to morally or ethically inappropriate, the best move is to complete the task eagerly. Later, schedule a conversation with your boss to discuss your role in the company and whether your job description needs an update. This ensures that you avoid looking petty. It also enables you and your boss to develop a long-term understanding of what you should and shouldn't be doing. It's not my fault. It's never a good idea to cast blame. Be accountable. If you had any role, no matter how small, in whatever went wrong, own it. If not, offer an objective, dispassionate explanation of what happened. Stick to the facts and let your boss and colleagues draw their own conclusions about who's to blame. The moment you start pointing fingers is the moment people start seeing you as someone who lacks accountability for their actions. This makes people nervous. Some will avoid working with you altogether, and others will strike first and blame you when something goes wrong. This will only take a minute. Saying that something only takes a minute undermines your skills and gives the impression that you rush through tasks. Unless you're literally going to complete the task in 60 seconds, feel free to say that it won't take long, but don't make it sound as though the task can be completed any sooner than it can actually be finished. I can't. I can't is the twisted sister of "it's not my fault." People don't like to hear "I can't" because they think it means "I will not." Saying "I can't" suggests that you're not willing to do what it takes to get the job done. If you really can't do something because you truly lack the necessary skills, you should offer an alternative solution. Instead of saying what you cannot do, say what you can do. For example, instead of saying "I cannot stay late tonight," say "I can come in early tomorrow morning." Will that work? Instead of "I can run those numbers," say "I don't yet know how to run that type of analysis. Is there someone who can show me so that I can do it on my own next time?" Emotionally intelligent people never stop learning. They learn from their mistakes, they learn from their triumphs, and they always changing themselves for the better. Socially aware people are willing to learn how other people view their behavior, even if they don't share the same interpretation. Be mindful of how people view the phrases I shared here, because what ultimately matters is how other people take what you say, not how you think they should take it. Trust your intuition. This is a good one. Steve Jobs once said that intuition is more powerful than intellect. Ain't gonna lie, I low-key agree. As it turns out, Jobs was onto something, and the scientific community backs him up. It seems that we've been given intuition far too little respect. In a Salk Institute study, participants excuse me, were asked to play a card game in which they pulled cards from two different decks. The decks were rigged so that one would win more often than the other, but the participants didn't know that, at least not overtly. It took about 50 cards for participants to consciously realize the decks were different and about 80 to figure out the difference. However, what was really interesting was that it took only about 10 cards for the participants' palms to start sweating slightly every time they reached for a card from the losing deck. This was about the same time they started subconsciously favoring the winning deck. When you make decisions you're referring to, they do not need exclamation points or all caps to team with anger and drip with sarcasm. Dressing someone down digitally is tempting because it's easy. You have plenty of time to dream up daggers that strike straight to the heart, and you lack the inhibition that's present when the recipient is staring you in the face. This type of virtual message is known as flaming, and all such messages have a single thing in common: a lack of social awareness. A survey sponsored by communications device manufacturer Poly found that 83% of today's workforce considers electronic communication to be more critical to their success than any other form of communication. Electronic communication has been a mainstay long enough that you'd think we'd all be pros at using it by now. But we're human, and if you think about it, we haven't mastered face-to-face communication either. Even the most likable and well-mannered among us can still look like jerks when communicating virtually. Typing a message that comes across just like you do in person is a fine art. During a conversation, you adjust your tone, facial expression, gestures, and postures to fit the mood of what you're conveying. You do this because people tend to be much more responsive to how you say things than to what you actually say. Text strips a conversation bare. It's efficient, but it can turn otherwise easy interactions into messy misinterpretations. Without facial expressions and body posture to guide your message, people look at each other, at each word you type as an indicator of tone and mood. That's so true. Most of the mistakes people make in the electronic messages are avoiding person meeting. The question then becomes, would it be necessary or helpful to have this person come to the meeting? If the answer is no, then don't waste their time with the message. As for reply all, just don't do it. Even if someone else is in threat replies all, you're still annoying everyone to death when you join the fray. If you have something to say, it's better to send it directly and privately to the original sender and let them decide if the group should know about it too. Knowing how your message will come across to the person on the other side of your screen is an art form when handled properly. We set ourselves up for massive social awareness mistakes with this form of communication because we fail to give the other person perspective, adequate consideration. To get things right, there are 4 things you must do when communicating virtually. Number 1, remember that people virtually are still people. While entranced by the warm glow of a screen, it's sometimes difficult to remember that a living, breathing human being will end up reading your message. Psychologist John Suler of Rider University found that when people are communicating virtually, they experience a disinhibition effect. Without the real-time feedback between sender and receiver that takes place in face-to-face communication, we simply do not worry as much about offending people virtually. We don't have to experience the discomfort of watching someone else become confused or angry because of something we said. When these natural consequences are delayed, we tend to spill onto the screen whatever happens to be on our minds. To avoid such messages, you have to apply your social awareness skills. When you cannot physically see the other person's body language or hear the tone of their voice, picture the recipient in your mind and imagine what they might feel when reading your message as it's written. The next time you receive a curt or outright rude message, put the brakes on before firing back at retort. Taking the time to imagine the sender and consider where they're coming from is often enough to extinguish the flames before they get out of control. Could the sender have misinterpreted a previous message that you sent to them? Could they just be having a bad day? Are they under a lot of pressure? Even when the other party is in the wrong, spending a moment on the other side of the screen will give you the perspective you need to avoid escalating the situation. Number 2, follow Honest AB's first rule of netiquette. I know what you're thinking. How could someone who died more than a century before the internet existed teach us about message etiquette? Well, in Lincoln's younger years, he had a bad habit of applying his legendary wit when writing insulting letters to and about his political rivals. But after one particularly scathing letter led a rival to challenge Lincoln to duel, duel, he learned a valuable lesson. Words impact the receiver in ways that the senders can't completely fathom. I love this one. By the time he died, Lincoln had amassed stacks of flaming letters that verbally shredded his rivals and subordinates for their boneheaded mistakes. However, he never sent them. He vented his frustration on paper and then stuffed the sheet away in a drawer. The following day, the full intensity of his emotions having subsided, Lincoln wrote and sent a much more congenial and conciliatory letter. We can all benefit from learning to do the same with electronic communication. Your emotions are a valid representation of how you feel, no matter how intense. But that does not mean that acting on them in the moment serves you well. Go ahead and vent, tap out your anger or frustration on the keyboard, save the draft and come back to it later when you've cooled down. By then, you'll be rational enough to edit the message and pare down the parts that burn, or even better, rewrite the kind of message that you want to be remembered by. Let the emojis flow. Guys, we're almost done. Not gonna lie, I read a little by myself today. I need to cook food, but I want to read. It's crazy. A lot of people left because I was reading. Guys, I'm sorry, I need to pee. True. So I found this dude.